All right. Welcome to my channel. My name is 12 Gauge. Glad that you are here today. You already know the intro stuff. I say it all the time. So if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe and like if you see something that you enjoy. If you've been here before, thank you for continuing to come back. I'm glad that you find something that you enjoy. Well, tonight we have a special show for you. I'm going to talk about Ted Bundy, and we have a new Casey Anthony like case that is emerging. So I'm going to go over that here in a little bit. But I have a special guest tonight. So whenever she gets here, I'll let you know. And she's going to kind of co host with me tonight as we talk about Ted Bundy. I hope you guys are familiar with the Ted Bundy case. There was a crime spree that happened between 1974 and 1979, where Mr. Bundy was able to be indicted on 30 murders of females across the country in different states. So there's Washington area, Washington State, there's Colorado, Florida, and I think Oregon was the other one. So I'm gonna play a video here in a little bit about the Ted Bundy story. But like I said, I'm just waiting for my co-host to be here so we can get started. And it looks like she just arrived. So let me beam her up. Alrighty. Um, Carla, welcome.
Hey, good
We can
afternoon.
Can you hear me?
I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Okay, I was just kind of letting the audience know what we're going to talk about tonight. Um, Welcome to the channel again, and thank you for showing up and agreeing to co-host with me.
Oh, yeah,
I'm trying to
absolutely.
s-
Thank you for
I'm
having
trying to
me.
set the I'm trying to set the mood here as far as giving it a backdrop that's kind of like would be proficient with what we're going to talk about tonight. I was discussing with the chat a little bit about a new case that I was working on earlier, and it's about a lady that killed her 4-year-old child. And I'm gonna let this video play, and it's gonna give you a little background info on her. And it's also I have the dash cam or the body cam that shows the arrest. Okay. Hey Jeff, how you doing, buddy? So we're gonna look at this and then discuss it. Then we'll talk about Ted, and then if it's not too long into the broadcast, we'll discuss some other things that I have set up. So let me see here. Okay, wrong one. Let me stop sharing. Let me share the right. That's aggravating whenever I share the wrong screen. I used to do it
Uh-oh.
on Zoom. I used to do it on Zoom all the time, and it drove me crazy. There we go. Can you see that?
Yeah, I can.
Okay. Okay, let me go ahead and. Okay, let me go ahead and play this. So, you guys, this happened, I think, 8 days ago. So, let the reporter go ahead and talk about this case because if you're familiar with the Casey Anthony case, this individual is Casey Anthony 2.0.
Oh,
Monday, the
wow.
grandmother of 4-year-old Ariel Garcia petitioned to take custody of him. She said this about her daughter, the boy's mother, Janet Garcia. While she is on drugs, her behavior is unpredictable, and I am scared she will harm him in the process. 2 days later, Ariel went missing. The 4-year-old was last seen alive at this apartment building in Everett on Vesper Way Wednesday morning. Later that afternoon, a concerned family member reported him missing. Everett police say they launched an extensive search for Ariel. Meanwhile, that evening around 6:15, nearly 3 hours away, a Clark County detective got a call from a home in Ridgefield saying the mother of missing Ariel, 27-year-old Janet Garcia, was not wanted there. At this point, Clark County officials already heard from Everett police about the missing boy. Court documents from Clark County show Janet Garcia told police her son fell out of a bed and hit his head while they were staying at a friend's house in Everett. When the friend returned to their house, they found a substantial amount of blood, and Janet and Ariel were gone. The detective interviewing Janet also noted he saw what appeared to be splatters of blood on her shoes and shirt. Police say throughout the questioning, the mother's answers were inconsistent and difficult to follow. She kept saying her son had fallen and hit his head. Janet's car was found only half a mile away at a restaurant and bar in Ridgefield. Around 3:40 p.m., surveillance video captures the car parking and a person walking away, appearing to be the mom. The next day, phones started buzzing across Western Washington. An endangered missing persons advisory was issued by Washington State Patrol. Around 6 p.m. Thursday evening, a body was found along I-5 in Pierce County. Everett police responded and confirmed the body belonged to 4-year-old Ariel Garcia. Janet Garcia is being transferred to the Snohomish County Jail and is expected to be booked there tonight. She is under arrest for murder in the first degree, murder in the second degree, and assault of a child in the first degree.
Okay, some updated information on that. I did look up her case where she was arraigned. She's arraigned on $5 million bail. And it did go into more detail as far as the murdering of the child. But look, I want to play this body cam footage to let you see how calm this lady is. And if you're Carla, are you familiar with the Casey Anthony case?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Chad, are y'all familiar with the Casey Anthony case? So, do you remember in the Casey Anthony case where she was denying at the very beginning that anything was wrong with the child, that somebody was watching the child? Do you remember that? Some
Yes, yes,
mysterious nanny or whatever?
yes. And she wasn't worried, nothing.
No, nothing. Nothing at all. So, um some of the reason that I'm bringing this body cam and playing this case is because it's pretty brand new and I want to keep up with it, for one, but I also want you guys to see the body lingo, the language, the nonverbals, um, because these all go into the first response. As we were talking last night about evidence and things of that nature, whenever you're interviewing a suspect, because that's all they're doing right now at this point is just asking questions. So they're not interrogating her, they're just interviewing. So they're trying to get a story. So just watch what she says, or don't watch what she says. Look at what she says and watch her body and her facial features and things of that nature, and you can learn a lot about this scenario. Okay? Is there anything that you'd like to say, Carla, before I start the video?
Yeah, I would definitely, I obviously, I haven't seen the body cam, I'm watching it right along with everybody, but one thing that I do want everyone to kind of pay attention is if it's if we're able to see, is going to be the movement of her eyes. Which where are her eyes going? Are they going to the left? Are they going to the right? Is she able to maintain eye contact with that police officer? Is she looking down to the right, to the left? Just kind of just those non cues, that we kind of, you know, look at whenever we're looking at things, and whenever we're placement of the eyes can be, not always, but can be significant, right? If we're lying, or if we're, just, it's hard for some people and not for others, but to look at someone straight in the eyes and lie to them, so we tend to kind of hide,
Can
so
you
just one of the things
briefly
I would look at.
summarize the Casey Anthony case for Jeff and Aquarius, because they're not very knowledgeable on it, before I play this?
Yeah. So the Casey
Okay, thank
Anthony,
you.
yeah, absolutely. So it's basically, in a nutshell, it's going to be a mom who, it seemed like, she had at that time, a pretty good relationship with her folks. She was, moving in and out of her folks. I mean, was they were staying there and everything. And then what ended up happening was the grandparents, I believe, were the ones that kind of were like, "Hey, where is our daughter, Casey? Where is she? We haven't seen her. We always see her every day to day. Where is she?" They contacted their daughter, the mom, and she would just be like, "Oh, she's fine. We're fine." And um, but they hadn't seen her yet. In the meantime, she's has a boyfriend, and she's out partying. There's all this pictures of her that come out later on of her partying, dancing the night away. And she even got a tattoo. It says, I think it was "Beautiful Life" is what it said in Italian.
Yeah,
And yeah, and nobody had laid eyes on this toddler, and I want to say she was 4 years old. Nobody had
yes,
laid eyes on her, and they grew, worried. And then the cops started to, interview her. And that's kind of what Marty was saying. She was very calm. If it was a mom, any mom, they would be hysterical. I mean, and then when they
right.
asked her, "Hey, well, when was the last time you saw your daughter?" "Whoa, that was about 4 days ago." I want to say it was like,
Yeah,
close to a week ago that she had seen her daughter. And they were like, "Well, where is she?" "Well, I dropped her off with," she made up a name of and I want to say it was like a Hispanic name of this
yeah, a
lady, and
nanny. Yeah,
a nanny, and drove the cops there. And they then, and nothing was coming through. They kind of knew already she was lying. She told them she worked at Paramount, and they were like, "Okay, well, take us there." And they were just basically doing what these cops are getting ready to do here. Is they're just interviewing her at this point. They're just gathering, but they're also, letting her kind of hang herself. And they go through the Paramount studios. And as it turned out, no one knew who she was. And when they told her, like, "Lead us to your office," she actually led them straight into a dead end. So
right, right.
yeah, and come to find out, the little girl wasn't that far away from the parents' home, and then where the parents lived and everything. There was like some woodery, little woodsy area, and that's kind of where they found her. And she was, of course, arrested for it, but she got one of the really a really brilliant lawyer. And actually, she was found not guilty.
Yeah, she
And
was
but
found not guilty.
yeah, that
Yeah,
was crazy to me. That was so crazy. But
yeah, and there was the part that Carla was talking about where the grandma or Casey's mom said, "I need you to bring the car back." So she brought the car back, and the mom called 911, said, "My daughter just brought the car back. It smells like a dead body in there or something." Well,
yeah,
they opened up the trunk, and you could smell decomposition, all this stuff. And she kept to her word that she didn't have nothing to do with it. She left her with the nanny, this, that, and the other. I mean, it's very sadistical. So with that, I want you to look at this case as well, because this mom, I want you to let me know what kind of vibes this mom gives you. Okay.
I can do it. Okay. Yeah, sure. Nothing on you? No. Okay.
You guys give us some privacy. Hey, so.
Nothing in your bra. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Can I just, you can make, you don't need to reach in, I'll just.
Thank you. So do you know why we're here?
Are you okay if I open the zipper?
Why are you guys
What's
here?
going on today?
Can I open the zipper?
Yeah.
Just checking it. Thank you. I just want to make sure before.
What's going on today
okay.
with you? And like, sounds like the cops have been talking to you already.
Yeah. So my so I
You got some blood drops on your shoes.
yeah.
Okay.
So my son fell this morning earlier.
Oh no.
Yeah. So but I was able to take him to the doctors and everything was okay. I took him to with another lady so she can watch him for me because I wasn't staying at home. I had problems going on with my parents and they didn't let me in the house. So I was staying with another lady. She was super sweet. That's where my son fell. And then but we left. So I was like, okay, you know. So I went to another lady's house and I told her if she could watch him for me. I wanted to come get, you know, I wanted to fully recover. I'm an alcoholic. So I was like, if you can watch him for me for 12 months, that'd be amazing because I'm not talking to my mom. And she's the one that has like just like a notarized paper saying that she has legal custody of them, but I have legal custody of them. She's not letting me see my older son. So I'm a little
That would be really hard.
yeah, I'm a little bit upset about that
Yeah.
one. So
Yeah.
I'm here now and everything's okay.
Okay.
So I don't know what else.
Well, we want to make sure that he's safe and know where he is. Who's the friend that you left it with?
I left him with another lady. I don't have her information.
Oh well, that's not gonna cut it. We got to figure out where he's at. Where can you like tell me the location where somebody could go and check on him and make sure he's okay?
In like SeaTac area,
Okay.
Seattle.
More specific?
I don't
Do you
have
have
an
an
address.
Nothing. Who's the friend? How do you know the person that? How did you pick the person?
She's a
that
longtime friend that I know.
Okay, what's her name?
That's all I know.
Okay,
Do you
and
have
you've
a
known
phone
her.
number or anything?
Okay, but you've known her for a long time. So how did you reach out to her?
So I reached out to her because I needed help.
How
So-
did you reach out to her?
I found her number on my old Facebook, but I no longer have a Facebook anymore. So
Okay,
So somebody you sign back into?
No.
No.
I delete it all the time. So
yeah, you found it today on your old Facebook, and her name is. Okay, and she lives in the SeaTac area. So you drove him from the first house you were at to her house, or the doctor first.
mhm.
What doctor did you take him to?
Swedish, and that's it.
Swedish where?
Or I think it's Providence, actually. Providence in Everett.
In Everett? Providence?
You understand we just need to make sure that he's okay, and then
Yeah.
we can just do that, and then we can leave you be, you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
So how do we find?
I don't know.
Can you describe to me how you got there from Providence?
So I just drove from there to Seattle, and then that's it.
You drove from Providence to Seattle
To,
house.
yes.
Okay. Did you drive on the freeway or?
Mhm.
Okay. How long did it take you to get there?
Like 2 hours.
2 hours. And
So, really quickly, Carla, what do you think? What's your first inclination? Very quick.
I think that if I was a mom, they wouldn't have to ask me any questions. I would be telling them everything I knew with as much detail as I possibly could in order for them to find my son. But the fact that she is giving them very limited information, she's guarding that information very well. And it none of it makes sense. So if we went with her story, how did you get a hold of this person? Oh, through Facebook, but I deleted my
Right.
Facebook. Wait a minute, you're
Yeah.
gonna let your son stay there for 12 months. You asked somebody to babysit your son for 12 months. And that person said yes. And now all of a sudden you don't know the address. You don't know the address of where your son is going to be spending the next 12 months, and the phone number or the how you got a hold of this person. Now all of a sudden you don't have that information anymore because you deleted your Facebook. So there's no
Right.
address and no phone, no way of contacting this person whom you supposedly are leaving your son with for the next 12 months. Like that
Right.
doesn't, that like that is common sense. Like that just does not, one and one here does not equal two,
Right.
in my
Right. Like
opinion.
the chat. Like the chat is saying, you don't know where you left your kid, kind of like what you just said. She's really calm if she killed her child. She seemed pretty sketchy.
Hmm. Yeah,
Jeff said, did she mention her son falling right after the officer pointed out the blood drops on her?
exactly. Yeah.
Yes, I think so. I think she said he fell at the place where we're staying because I'm
Hmm.
staying with a friend. Good catch there, Jeff. Good catch. Let's continue to watch some more of it. Thank you, Carla.
What car were you driving?
My car. So just like 1 hour or so.
And what kind of car do you have?
I have a Nissan.
Okay. Where's that car now?
I don't have it with me.
Okay.
Where's it at?
I left it at her house and then I came over here on the bus.
Okay. You left it up at SeaTac?
Okay. What? Do you remember what exit you took?
I don't know.
Okay. Um. Okay.
So just to clarify, you go from Everett to the hospital in Everett. You get him checked out. You drive to your friend in SeaTac. You leave the car there. You leave him there, and you take a bus from SeaTac down here. Okay. And that all happened today.
Yeah.
So
Pretty expensive ticket. Get a C-tram bus to come down here.
No, actually, it was only like $30.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
okay. What's your first name again? It's
Jeanette.
Jeanette. Okay, Jeanette. You're not
Lying.
you have a longtime friend that you reach out to leave your son with,
son.
who you obviously care about very
Of
much.
course, I love him with all my heart.
Yes, and you're expressing how upset you are about what's going on between you and your mom and the custody of him and your older son. Like, that's horrible. So I know that you're not going to go leave your son with somebody and you don't know where he is.
Yeah. No.
So you do know where he is.
No, I know where he is. I know where he's at.
Tell me where he's at.
I don't have the address for him.
Okay, how can we find the address for him?
I don't know.
Did you put it in your phone
No.
to get there? Okay, you know where your son is because you're a mom who loves her son very much, and you didn't
I'm
just.
not. I'm Jeanette.
I'm sorry, Jeanette.
Yeah.
You took him somewhere, and you're going to go back to him, and you know where he is. So tell me where he's at, so we can make sure that he's okay or what's going on.
So he's not. I mean, he's there. He's
Okay,
with her. But
tell
he's
me
not
how
with
to
me.
go check on him.
I can give you an address.
Okay, what's the address?
I don't know. You have to write it down.
Okay, I can do that.
So what did y'all just hear her say that was conflicting?
Do you have a phone number for it too?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't have a phone number for her, but
When he fell, where'd he get hurt?
just he on his head. But he
Oh.
fell on the ground and he hurt himself.
Heads are the worst, dude.
Yeah. I'm just trying to find. I don't even.
How old's your son?
He is 5. So I don't know if this is the right one. And Seattle, Washington. So.
Yep.
I mean, Seattle, Washington.
Where did you get that address from? Just now.
From the top of my head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's where you remember leaving him.
So yeah, that's her
Okay.
name.
Yeah. Perfect.
Okay.
hmm
How do you spell that?
Last name is. Yeah. So and if you guys can't find him or whatever, this is where I'm gonna be for the next 12 months. But I mean,
They
he's
check
there.
They check in.
How did you guys discuss that you're obviously gonna communicate with him still? You want to check on him,
Right.
And all that. How are you guys gonna communicate?
Well, I'm not gonna have I'm not gonna use my phone because
Okay.
I'm gonna be here for the next 12 months.
Okay.
So if anything, I don't know what else.
Okay.
That's it.
You didn't discuss that before you left?
Yes, I discussed with her. I'm gonna be here for 12 months, and then but before that, like I don't speak to my parents or anything like that because we got into an altercation. So, but this is where I'm gonna be.
Okay. You can I'm gonna give him that address.
Yeah.
And then tell me about your alcoholism. How long have you been dealing with that?
I've been drinking alcohol.
Or if you don't mind telling me, you don't.
Yeah,
have
it's
to tell me.
okay.
It's not
I've been
my
here.
business,
This is like my third. Okay, I've been here like this is like my third year here.
okay.
So I did 11 months in recovery because I was never like an alcoholic. I was more like of a drug user. So the only drug I ever used was meth.
Yeah.
And I used it for roughly like 4 to 5 years.
Okay.
I came to finally get clean on and off,
Yeah,
right?
sure.
I tried it one time and then years passed and then I do it again and then
Right.
years passed.
Sure.
So I'm here now. I did a full year of recovery, 11 months. And then I did my second year, like coming back and like, doing the group and stuff like that. So 2 years. This is my third year clean. I started drinking a lot because I was like, okay, I'm not a drinker. I was a drug
use
user.
drugs, so
Right.
alcohol's okay.
So
Yeah.
alcohol's fine. I'm like, it's a socialized thing
Sure.
that everybody does. I'm
Yeah.
going to go out. I'm going to have dinner. I'm going to do this. Well, I drink to the point where I can drink a whole bottle of just like liquor. So I'm like, that's now I'm an alcoholic.
Gotcha.
So I started to have all kinds of problems. And then now I'm back here hoping I can get
No.
clean again. It just depends.
Well, I'm glad you're in a space where you feel safe, that you feel like that can work for you. I hope it does.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Good. Well, I just want to figure out where your son is. Obviously, there was some concerns, and once we
Yeah.
can do that, his injury was pretty bad. Yeah, was there quite a bit of blood and stuff? What did he do?
He jumped from the bed that we were sleeping on to the ground, and then he just got blood on his head, and so I had him taken to the doctor, and so he's doing good.
Okay. Okay. What did he hit it on?
Just on the ground.
Okay. How did it start bleeding?
It's just started bleeding.
Can you show me like what side of his head? Do you remember what side of his head it was?
I don't remember exactly what side of the head it was, but it's starting to bleed a little bit.
Yeah. That's okay. So you don't. What time did it occur today?
Just like early, like at 10, 11.
10 or 11. Okay. Do you know what time it is now?
It's already 6:30, or about to be 7.
So how long were you guys at the hospital?
We were only there for a little bit. I don't even think he got checked. We got there and but I didn't wait enough for him to get checked out. So
he didn't actually go back and get checked. Gotcha. Did you actually go inside and check him in? Okay. And then did you tell him you were leaving, or did you did? Okay. You just said he's not going to be seen and left.
Yeah.
Okay. And how is he acting?
He's okay.
Yeah.
What happened to him when he fell?
Nothing. He just cried.
Just cried?
Mhm.
Just
like, just like, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want to sit down? I can leave the door open. You can sit right there so you're out of the ring.
My gosh.
You think he needed to go to the hospital?
Because he was bleeding from his head. So
Oh,
that's
okay.
why.
Yeah.
Okay, go.
That's what it ring.
And you can stay dry.
Yeah. So
Well, that's scary. He's 4. Okay. Did he vomit or anything? No.
he didn't vomit or anything.
Okay.
So
All right. Well, hang tight for just a minute. Well, hopefully we can quickly locate him and move on. You said it took you 2 hours to get from Providence to your friend's house, and you left for there about 10 this morning.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you know how long you were at the hospital for?
I was only there for a little bit of time. Again, I didn't want to wait, so I was like, let's go.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe to me what that Providence looks like? Do you know what road it's on, or what is? Did you park in the emergency room parking lot, or? Do you
I
remember?
don't remember. I don't know.
Or was there a parking garage or anything?
I don't remember at the top of my head.
Okay. Do you remember when you walked in? Like, can you describe to me when you walked in what it looked like?
Just the hospital. Just the hospital.
Okay. But can you describe, like, when you walk in the door, where was the check-in?
In the front, like I walked in, as soon as I walked in, the front desk was checked in right there. And I said my son had to be seen for something. And then his name and everything.
Okay.
And that's
You're
it.
going like this, so you wrote it down, or was that like a check-in thing? Or
There was a check. All right, but I think they checked me in. No.
okay.
Yeah.
So you didn't write anything on there. Okay. Have you been there before?
No.
No, that was your first time.
That was my first time.
When you checked into the desk, was it just an open desk, or
Just an open
was
desk.
it behind a wall? Did they have like a glass wall, or?
Just an open desk.
Okay. Was there a lot of people in there?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's why you didn't want to wait, because it was too long. Do you think he needed stitches or anything?
No, he's fine.
Okay. You didn't remember where his injury was?
Mm-mm.
Is it front, side, back? Do you remember?
It's the side. It was the side.
Definitely one of the sides that you recall?
The front, yeah.
Okay. Front. You're kind of pointing above the eyebrow. Okay. All right. And then you contacted your friend through Facebook.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I got her information through Facebook.
Oh, okay. And then what information did you get?
Just her number, and then I went to her house and dropped off my kid there, and then now I'm here.
Okay. You got like her phone number? Okay. And did you call her from your phone?
From my phone.
Okay, the one that's in your purse there, you called her from? Okay.
I think I erased it though, but I have her number. I don't know if you guys want to call her, but I don't think she's gonna answer anymore.
It says Kel.
Yes.
That's
Her number.
her number.
I don't think she's gonna. I don't think she's gonna answer
How come? What makes you think that?
because I don't know if she's still gonna be there.
Did you send her any text messages?
No.
Okay.
Hey, Jen, you got
Exactly, Jeff. All of your comments are awesome. Keep them coming.
Is it? What is the apple?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will help.
She's like, what do I do now?
Do you remember what your son was wearing today when you took him to the hospital?
Pajamas, blue pajamas.
Pooh? Like Winnie the Pooh?
Just regular blue pajamas.
Oh, blue.
So I just pass that information on. They're gonna be. They'll see if they can get a hold of her. Check that address.
She gave maybe a phone number too.
Yeah. I'm gonna give him
Yeah.
a call.
Can I ask who you're messaging with?
Yeah, my sister. I was just talking to her about her flying out here,
Oh, nice. Where does she live?
California.
Oh, okay.
What part?
In Pasadena.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I want to move over there.
But it's nice and sunny down there right now.
Yeah.
It's really good.
Totally oblivious. Oh, they're just officers here and interviewing me, but I'm carrying on a full conversation.
Yeah, can you make sure she has it? I might just take her phone. She's got some specks on her shirt. She's got blood on her shoes. She's not really making sense.
Okay, that's it. Carla, where'd you go? You still here? I think you're muted. Yeah, I think this case is like the Kansas mom's case where they were going to drop off the kids and something happened, you know? So grandma was about to get custody of this child and she wasn't having it. What do you think, Carla?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
What do you think on that situation, really quick?
I think for me, there is just a lot of throwaways. And what I mean by that is almost all of her statements where she appears to want to be helpful, there's always a throwaway, until they kind of got her to give a phone number, which we'll see, you know, if that panned out. I think my internet kind of went out right when they were right when she had given it to him and everything, or the address. One thing that now, if I remember correctly, did she say that it took her 2 hours to get to the supposed friend's house, but it was only a 30-minute bus ride back? Did I hear that
Yes.
correctly?
Yeah, that's what she said.
Yeah, so we know that common sense, it's always faster to drive in a car than it is on a bus. Like a bus is not going to get anywhere faster than a vehicle would, because a bus is going to stop at every single, little town in between and pick people up, drop people off. So, it was just again, I think actually kind of hard for our brains to lie. So we end up getting ourselves caught up in things. And I think that is exactly what's happening here, with her. It's a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of things just don't make sense.
Right. Kind of like Jeff says, kind of like I can give you the phone number, but she probably won't answer when she
Exactly.
said that toward the end.
Right. And what is she trying to do there is predict it. So when the cops come back and say, hey, no one answered that phone number, I told you she wasn't going to answer. So, but why would a
Right.
mother leave a child for 12 months with someone who may or may not answer the phone? I mean, like, I don't think I could. I would even be comfortable with leaving a child for an hour with somebody, even 30 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes with anyone that isn't going to take a call from me or anyone else, when it's relating to the child.
And she didn't even know the address, nothing. Just like the Casey Anthony thing.
Right.
She
And it
didn't,
was
because
all
she was, yeah, she was saying, well, I don't know where the nanny lives. And then they finally got her to admit she knew where the apartment was. And she went and showed them. And that apartment had been empty for months. So she was lying there as well.
exactly. And also it was at the top of my head. How did you know the address? At the top of my head, you know?
Yeah, off the top of
So
my head. Yeah.
yeah, so that's what I'm saying, is just the inconsistencies of, why would you leave, your son there?
Right.
Yeah.
How about the chat? Y'all got any more comments? I mean, y'all been commenting very well. Y'all have anything else you want to add before we switch gears and get on to Mr. Bundy? Any questions about this situation? It's fairly early on, so I'm going to keep an eye on it and hopefully probably broadcast throughout it and see exactly if I can get any more information along the way and see exactly what happened and, what led her to that point. Rondi said I wouldn't. Um, didn't she string their parents along for a month? Yes, she did. Jeff says I would have had to slap that woman, and I never slap a woman. Well, that's good to know, Jeff. That's good to know. Well, you guys continue to ask questions or give your comments on that case. I'm pretty sure everybody is pretty knowledgeable on this neck case. And the reason that I want to present this neck case is it has a lot of similarities to the Idaho 4 case. And I even wrote down some notes earlier that will kind of shock you. But I'm going to go over some pictures that I found. And this first one is one of the abduction sites where he abducted a female off the beach. And he told her that he needed help with his sailboat. And there's two of them actually, not at the same time. I think it's like 4 hours apart. But he abducted them, killed them. And somebody, I guess, in that friend group was vigilant enough to take a photo of him and his Volkswagen Bug. Isn't that crazy? Even back in the 70s, somebody had the mindset to say, I'm going to take a picture of this. Exactly, Leon. Okay, so I'm going to show these pictures, and if you have any feedback or any information about it, be sure to chime in there. There's the inside of
Yeah.
the Volkswagen.
Now, an interesting
And
fact about the Volkswagen, real quick,
go ahead.
is that at one of the colleges, I can't remember one of the universities that he wanted to go to, but wasn't there very long. When he met another student, he kind of liked, kind of mimicked everything that this student did, and one of the things is that that student drove a Volkswagen like that, and he went and he got a Volkswagen
Oh,
almost
wow.
identical to that one, and they actually did a review, and that's kind of how I know that little nugget about the Volkswagen.
Right. And I also heard today, I was watching a documentary on it. See where the spring is right here? This seat was removable. And that's one of the reasons that he picked this vehicle, is because he could abduct his prey, I guess, so to speak, and just throw him right there. And there you go. Go about your business. So I thought that was quite interesting as
Hmm.
well. Um,
Yeah,
and
and
then
then
we
another thing that
go ahead.
Oh, no, no. It's just another thing, as you show us another photo, I'm just gonna just kind of talk about it was just very kind of intriguing to me whenever I was refamiliarizing myself with the Ted Bundy story, was the difference between how he would describe his childhood versus like when Sandy Holt, who was actually a childhood friend, would describe it, and how they are opposites, the descriptions of his childhood. So that was very interesting.
Wasn't Ted Bundy adopted, or he was biological?
No, yeah, so that's very interesting point that you bring up. So at the age of 14, when he was in in one of the prisons, the psychologist noted one of the big events that happened to him was at the age of 14, he found his birth certificate. And so in the father box, it said unknown. So let's think back back then, right, if a woman, if became or a girl became pregnant, she would be sent away to a home for unwedded mothers. Because
Yes.
back then it was kind of like, it was looked down upon, if you were pregnant without being married. And so when his mother returned back, her father, so it would be grandfather to Ted, was asking, well, where is the boy? Because she told him she gave
Hmm.
birth to the boy, and she had actually left him behind and wasn't going, her intentions were not to keep him, her intentions were to have him adopt out, and he refused that, and he said go back and get him. So she went
Okay.
back, and so she got him. So back in the day it was like that illegitimate child.
Okay.
So you're
Very
right about
good.
that.
Very good. Right here on the screen, I'm showing you a bite mark on his last victim. He got frustrated and bit her on the breast. And back then, it was unheard of to do bite mark analysis to catch an individual. And what they did is they got a warrant because they pulled him over for driving a stolen vehicle, and they pulled him over. And at this point, they noticed his smile, and it said that his teeth were crooked. He had some chips in his teeth, so it made a very interesting bite mark area. So they did a cast of his bite, and when they did the overlay on this bite mark, that's what got him. So this was the trace DNA, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah, and then with that, that happened in Florida whenever
Yes.
yeah. And he had already escaped. And it was like 46 days he was on the run. And I think that the Florida sheriff from, I can't remember the name of the little city, he was like, he was going to try anything. And I think that was the first time that they'd even were just trying anything to ensure to keep him behind bars.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Um, I want to watch the video. That's not the one. Hold on a second. I have a video that just shows the crime scenes of Mr. Bundy's. Okay, here we go. This is gonna. This is taken by an individual on a page called Infamous Crime Location. So I'm giving them a shout out on the video. And those of you that were in the live last night, you heard Daniel talking about how the area would be foggy. Paula talked about it, overcast, all this, that, and the other. So this individual is going to take it through Washington and part of Oregon, but he's going to talk about the killings in that area of the country. And then I'm going to talk about some more things. So let's try to pay attention on what he says and base it on the knowledge that you have. Okay. Well, here we go.
Harmon. Today's episode is all about Mr. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, of course, was one of the United States' most prolific serial killers. So today's episode, we're filming all the murder and abduction locations of Ted Bundy in and around Seattle. Ted Bundy killed people in numerous states, including Washington State, like we're doing now, Florida, Oregon, Colorado, and Utah. So he obviously got around and went to many different states during his abductions and killings. But of course, today's episode is going to feature his abductions and murders he committed just in and around Seattle. So I hope you guys enjoy. Stick around, and let's get into it.
So on January 31st, 1974, 21-year-old Linda Healy was attacked and murdered in the home behind me. Linda was Ted's first murder victim that we're aware of. Now, a couple of weeks prior to that, 11 blocks away, there was a young woman who was attacked, but she survived that encounter. Unfortunately, a couple of weeks later, Linda was sleeping in this home in the basement. That unfortunate evening, she lived in a home with 4 other women. One of the creepy details from the story was that the previous evening, one of her roommates warned her that she had seen a shadow outside of the window that previous night. So it leads us to believe that Ted had been targeting this home for some time. He had his eye on these women or this house. He must have felt like there was a way to get in. Maybe he could breach the security, if you will, a window or a door. He got in, he killed Linda in the home. Bloodstains and evidence of that murder was found in the house. Another detail of the story was that Linda's family, her mom and her dad, as well as her ex-boyfriend, were all planning to converge and have dinner with Linda the following day. And Linda was on her way. She actually had gone to Safeway to gather groceries and supplies to cook dinner for her parents and her ex-boyfriend that next day. Unfortunately, that night or that previous morning, she was killed in her home here. This is the place where it really all began.
So Linda Healy, along with her 4 roommates, lived at 5517 Northeast 12th Street. Again, it's not that very far away from the UW campus. I don't know if all her roommates attended the campus or not, but she definitely did. But Linda actually worked at a radio.
Okay, so what do we know about 1122 King Road? I know you are pretty knowledgeable on this. There was a house full of women, right? Same thing. There was a female that was killed in this one. And there's going to be some more similarities, but I just wanted to throw those 2 out there. Okay, you want to say anything on this?
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
not really. I mean, the only other thing that I would say is, you know, this house was nearby yet another university.
Yes. Very good.
The station. And the next morning, she was supposed to be going to her work there at the radio station. And of course, she never made it. Her and a bunch of her roommates went to a friend's house, and they got back here at about 10 p.m. or so. And Linda went upstairs and kind of was talking to one of her roommates named Carolyn, kind of before they were going to bed. And she was talking to Carolyn about her ex-boyfriend coming, like the next day, and kind of like how she felt about that. And Linda was saying, like, I feel okay about it. I feel like it's over. And Carolyn was kind of one of the last people that Linda spoke to.
My guess is he must have seen.
Talking to her roommate about her ex-boyfriend, who also had an ex-boyfriend.
All the girls coming in and out of the house, and decided and chose that house after that. I guess he could have chose it out of complete randomness, but I think he must have probably saw them coming out of the house or something like that beforehand.
If this is not a sign that we're in Bundy country, I don't know what is. Here's an orange Volkswagen Beetle right behind me. This is very akin to what Ted Bundy was driving around the Seattle area and the University of Washington campus back in 1974 when these abductions began.
So the location I'm at right now used to be called the Flame Tavern. Now it's called Fiesta del Mar. At this location is where Ted Bundy abducted 22-year-old Brenda Carol Ball. The date was May 31st, 1974, and on this day, Brenda went out to what used to be called the Flame Tavern here and hung out and had some drinks. And this tavern
AKA
was
Corner
kind of one of
Club.
her normal hangouts. She would come here quite often. It says that Brenda attended Highline Community College up until 2 weeks before she was abducted here. She stayed at the tavern up until about 2 in the morning, which would have been June 1st, 1974. One of her friends was a musician, and she was trying to ask him for a ride back home. But unfortunately, he was going the opposite direction and said, hey, I can't take you because I'm going the other direction. And so Brenda ended up kind of asking around and was just hoping to maybe hitchhike home. And that, of course, is when she bumped into Ted Bundy. So witnesses at the tavern stated that they saw Brenda talking to a brown-haired man who was wearing a sling, an arm sling. Friends of hers described her as very free-spirited, meaning that she would go, days or even weeks without seeing anyone. She would just go out.
Look at that in the background of that restaurant. Isn't that ironic? Jack in the Box. Also, pay attention to the arm sling. That has some significance later on in the story. So, just wanted to point that out to you guys.
And do her own thing, travel around. And so, of course, many people didn't know she actually disappeared. For about 2 weeks or so, someone finally put out a missing persons report with the police on June 17th, so about 16 days after she was abducted, when Ted Bundy was talking to the journalist in prison. And the reason why Ted Bundy decided to abduct her from a tavern parking lot was mainly to throw off police, because some of his previous abductions had been at some of the college campuses, including the University of Washington. And so in order to throw off police, he kind of decided to abduct someone not from a college campus this time, but from a tavern parking lot or bar parking lot. And so that's kind of why he chose to go seek out someone from a bar. Ted Bundy was also saying that he ended up abducting Brenda from the parking lot and taking her back to the Rogers rooming house and raped her and then murdered her and dumped her body up on a mountain called Taylor Mountain. Now, what makes this abduction and murder more crazy than some of the other ones he committed here in Washington was the fact that on the afternoon and evening of May 31st, 1974, only like 4 or 5 hours before he abducted and killed Brenda, he actually was spending time with his fiancée, Elizabeth Kopfer, and Elizabeth's daughter, and Elizabeth's parents. They went out to have pizza at a pizza place, and they ended up getting back to, I believe, Elizabeth's place at about 10 p.m. At that point, Elizabeth, she wrote a book after all this happened, and she stated in the book that after they got back from eating pizza, Ted was kind of acting a little strange. He was kind of pacing around and kind of acting a little weird, and he kind of made up.
Hey, I'm gonna ask y'all: does he have the Brian Koberger eyebrows and eyeballs kind of bulging out? 1 for yes, 2 for no.
An excuse that he had to go and that he had to leave. And so, again, after that, he left, and around midnight is when he showed up at the tavern here, and that's when he abducted Brenda and killed her. All right, guys, so it looks like the tavern, again, like I said, was called Fiesta Del Mar, but it looks like they changed the name again to El Baron Rojo. But even that, I think, has finally gone under. This place looks like it's been abandoned. All right, guys, I'm at Roger's rooming house, and this is the house where Ted Bundy lived from about 1968 to 1974. He lived here for almost 6 years. So I'm going to go show you where he lived. At the time that Ted Bundy was living here at Roger's rooming house, he was engaged to Elizabeth Kopfer, and he dated Elizabeth up until he was arrested and his incarceration in Florida. So while he was living here, he was engaged to Elizabeth Kopfer. And it gets even deeper than that, but I'm going to give you guys more details once we get closer to the house. It's about a block away. All right, so next to me is Roger's rooming house, or what used to be known as Roger's rooming house. And again, this is where Ted Bundy lived almost 6 years. Another one of Ted Bundy's victims was 18-year-old George Ann Hawkins. Now, George Ann was going to the UW campus, and she was trying to become a TV news anchor or a broadcast journalist. George Ann lived at the Kappa Alpha Theta sorority house, which is right behind us. She lived right here in the sorority house, and her boyfriend lived about 4 or 5 houses up, and he lived in, of course, the fraternity house right up the road. So kind of keep in mind, guys, that she lived only 4 or 5 houses down from her boyfriend. That'll be pertinent to the case, so kind of keep that in check. But anyway, so the evening of June 10th, 1974, George Ann Hawkins left her sorority house here and headed towards the actual campus to go with some of her sorority sisters to go for some drinks. She ended up hanging out down at the campus up until about 11:30 p.m., close to midnight. She came back and told her sorority sisters that went with her, and she told them that she was going to head up to her boyfriend's fraternity house and hang out with him for a few hours and then head back to her sorority house. So as soon as George Ann left the fraternity house of her boyfriend, she walked down the alleyway behind the houses, and that is when Ted Bundy intercepted her and basically just abducted her right behind in the alleyway. Witnesses say they heard the door close, so they heard her leave her boyfriend's house, and they heard the door close.
Let me pause that right quick. You know, it said that her boyfriend walked her a couple blocks. So she was 4 houses down, so probably, or a couple houses, I think it said. So a couple houses, he saw her get close to her house, and Ted Bundy intercepted her within 2 houses of her own. Now that is some creepy stuff right there, don't you think?
Oh yeah.
See, there's that alleyway that she walked down.
All right, guys, so we're standing in the alleyway where George Ann was abducted from. So she basically was walking towards us when Ted Bundy was hanging out, walking around back here, and of course just bumped into her, and he abducted her right here. It's just mind-boggling. And again, picture it being, basically around midnight, really dark out. And again, put yourself in Georgianne's shoes. 4 houses down is her house. She had, less than 2-minute walk to get back to her sorority house. She had no clue that anything bad would happen to her. And it's just unfortunate Ted Bundy just happened to be hanging around this area. And of course, this being a big sorority fraternity, house area, there's tons of young people, tons of young girls. And so I'm guessing Ted Bundy must have just been walking around here just looking for his next victim. And unfortunately, Georgianne just happened to be coming down right in front of him. So Georgianne Hawkins, her boyfriend, Marvin Gelattley, lived here at the Beta Theta Pi fraternity house right behind us. And so Georgianne Hawkins, her sorority house was only a couple doors down, which we'll go show you. But yeah, so they lived right next to each other pretty much. So one of the last murders that Ted Bundy committed here in Washington State was here at Lake Sammamish Park. And at this park here where we're at right now, Ted Bundy actually committed 2 murders, both on the same day, which is pretty remarkable. He abducted one girl, killed her, and then he came back on the same day and did the same thing. However, today we don't really want to hang out and sit on a blanket on the beach because, first of all, it's January and it's freezing cold. However, on that day, it was July 14th, 1974. So it was a very, very beautiful, warm, sunny day. So, of course, tons of people were out. And the Rainier Beer Company, they actually were sponsoring an event on July 14th, 1974. So tons of people were here because the company had some sort of event going on. And so Ted Bundy, of course, took advantage of that situation. And right on the beach over here, 23-year-old Janice Ott was hanging out, sitting on a blanket, just hanging out. And Ted Bundy went up to her, started talking to her, and convinced her that he needed help moving a sailboat. And so me and Joel's kind of theory is that there's got to be some sort of maybe marina or little dock area where you could tie a sailboat up to, kind of around the bend. And so Ted Bundy convinced Janice Ott to kind of go over there and help him move a sailboat. Of course, he didn't actually have a sailboat. That was all a ruse. He ended up abducting her and killing her about a mile away in Issaquah, which is where we're going to go to next. She had a husband named James who was attending medical school, actually in California at the time of her abduction and murder. So he wasn't even up here in Washington State at the time. He was down in California. On the day of the abduction and murder, though, she put a note on the door for her roommate that she was living with at the time. And she put that she was going to go sunbathing. So she got on her bike and rode her bike to the lake here. 4 hours later, Denise Marie Nasland, who was 18, she was with her boyfriend and another couple at the lake. She ended up going missing after she went to the restroom. And she kind of got split up from the group. And he ended up talking to Denise and kind of pulled the same ruse and said, hey, I need help moving my sailboat, again, around the corner. And so he got her to follow him over there. And she unfortunately met the same demise. And he ended up taking her to the same location where he dumped Janice's body as well.
And right quick, if you ask, how did he get them to help him? You remember earlier, they said they saw a man with a sling on? So think about it. He had a sling on. and he's asking these young girls, "Hey, can you help me move my sailboat? I only have one arm." Sure, 1974. People probably were a lot more trusting back then. I was only 3 years old, so who knows? But I'm sure people didn't really think anything of it. Kay, you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, the only little nugget that I have for the audience is when I was doing my research on Ted was earlier I talked about how his childhood friend described him. One of the things that she said that stuck out to me was that he did not have any girlfriends in high school. And he doesn't describe to have any girlfriends. So he didn't have any, we know he didn't have any girlfriends in high school. Remember, his mom was young when she got pregnant with him. Now, moving forward, when he started going to the University of Washington, he was actually pursuing a bachelor's in psychology. He met a very beautiful lady by the name of Diane, and that was his first girlfriend. Now he started getting into politics, and they dated for a while. I can't remember exactly for how long they dated, but he once he graduated with his bachelor's in psychology, he wanted to go on to go to law school. Now he didn't have. Now remember, Ted Bundy. If you have him tell it, he was high, good, very good grades, this and that. But in all actuality, that wasn't the case. He didn't get very high marks, and so he didn't get into a good law school. So I wrote down in my notes, I put down high class girlfriend with no with no class money. So he was broke. His parents, weren't helping him through it. He didn't get into a prestigious law school, like he wanted to. And in fact, she ghosted him. She stopped writing to him because like she went on, her career went on, and he didn't go on with her, to a university. And she kind of ghosted him. They feel that there was maybe revenge on Diane because after that breakup, now at the time, now we know that he did unalive them, but then they were just missing. So 6 months after this breakup, that's when in less than 6 months, six ladies go missing. So all in Washington state. So I thought that was just keeping that theme going of, his mom was young, now this girlfriend, he never had a girlfriend in high school, but now this girlfriend ghosted him. And then this is where it's starting to fester up, and, you know, um, it's, his killing started.
So, we've also heard that Brian didn't have girlfriends as well, if I can recall. Um, that's really strange. I mean, to have that kind of similarities. I mean, there's a lot more. I'm going to read some here in a minute, but that is odd. I never knew that about him. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah. I took down like some notes because I was like, oh my gosh, this is pretty. Because when I had to go back and do some more research on this because we were going to talk about it tonight. I wanted to make sure I got all that early childhood stuff straight. And
Right.
when he talks about it, like he says, oh my gosh, hold on, let me look at my notes. How he put it. He puts it in a way where it leads you to believe that he played football, right? My friends played football. Well, if I say my friend, I mean, Marty, you were a football player in high school, and I mean, and I know
Right.
that to be a fact. But
Yeah.
typically, football guys. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Marty, but typically football guys typically hang out with other football guys. So for you
Yeah.
to, as a football player, if you said, "Yeah, my friends play football, and we look at you. It's easy to assume that you also play football. Is that you wouldn't
Right.
use that terminology if you didn't participate in the sport, but the way he worded it led people to believe that, when in fact, he didn't play any sports in high school. In fact, he was very shy. So, it doesn't surprise me when I started reading, when I started, really taking notes on his childhood, what Sandy Holt said about him. It doesn't surprise me that he just didn't have a big social life in high school, even though he says that he did. But if you listen closely to the wording, he never says that he himself ran track, because he also
Very
said
true.
that he ran track. It was just his friends ran track. But in fact, he was never really associated with any of the, quote unquote, what we would think popular kids were, which was going to be, all of your athletes. They said, and another, just a quick thing here, and then I'm turning it over to you, Marty, because I can go on and on. But another
Well,
quick
that's fine.
thing.
That's fine. That's what we're doing this for, because
Yeah.
I want the insight, and obviously I know that you did a thesis on the early childhood stuff. I'm about to take that this next semester about the criminal mind, so I haven't gotten there yet. But would you believe that his upbringing, based on what you've done as far as research, you think that it predicated his eventual turnout? Do you think?
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Okay.
I mean, looking back on things, right? Because I mean, so like, for example, so let me give you this nugget and see what you and people in the chat think about this little nugget. So we know that early on he had a speech impediment, and he was actually teased for this. And also, he went to camp. So his parents sent him off to camp. He was middle class. He got to go to camps, but yet at camps he struggled. He struggled. He couldn't tie the knots. He couldn't shoot. He couldn't win any of the races. But what did interest him, and what everybody kind of remembers him, and according to his childhood friend, was that he had a temper, but he liked to scare people. More importantly, he he liked to set tiger traps in the woods. So think about that. Um, and you'll get here too. You guys have heard about this, where they say that sometimes it's all tells it in the childhood if the child can be cruel to animals. So at this age, he's young, and he wants to so he's not interested in what all the other boys are interested in doing at camp, which is, shooting, running races, and all that. He wants to traps for animals. And in fact, a little girl happened to fall in those traps, and he would put stakes in there. So when the animal fell in there, they would falling to their death, except the little girl fell and ended up like having severe injuries to her legs. So, if we take everything we know now, what is he doing? Now we're, just even in this discussion, we know that he's setting traps for women.
Right.
The trap is, hey, I'm hurt. He's good looking. He's good looking. I'm hurt. Come help me.
Charming. Yeah.
Because he didn't have, though he was, um uh a handsome man. Remember, he doesn't have the confidence to walk up to people and really talk to them, in a sense, like, to, hey, come and be with me, you know
Right.
because
Right.
we know of, there was only three women in his life. We know of Diane, which was the one I just talked about. We know about Elizabeth, the one he's talking about. That's the one that he was almost going to marry. And then the one that ended up, being a fan, turned into like his wife, and I believe she even had his child. But um, that we know of. And for a guy to be, that handsome, he didn't he didn't have the self confidence, to to
Right.
have a lot of women in his life, even though he bragged about it. And in, everything was a smoke screen. Later on, he starts to say, that he has 60% of his friends are females. And well, we know that not to be true because he didn't have any friends.
Right.
But in the early childhood stuff, definitely, there's always something, he had no close friends um in high school or in his younger years. In
Well,
fact, the
based on,
kids,
go
yeah,
ahead.
the kids were like, they always saw him alone. So he would always be in the vicinity of where the kids would be playing, but he kind of would be off to his on his own. So that's very interesting when and I don't want to say that just because children play alone they're going to be child
Right.
killers, or
Right.
they're going to be killers or anything like that, but it's just kind of interesting to look at that, and then the theme of the women, and him always
Well,
just kind of wanting to
they
fit
were
in.
very young. They were very young,
Yeah,
and his last victim was 12 years old.
exactly. And why did he do the
You know?
12-year-old? For
Right.
the same reason that he did this current one that we just talked about, to throw the authorities off, to try to
Hmm.
get the heat, off of him. But these young women, not only was his mom a young woman, but all of these young women, in one way or another, without him really even knowing it, but even this last one is what I'm trying to say. They were all university. Where did he aspire to go to? A university. Where was this
Right.
Diane lady? She left him and went off to a university. So it kind of feeds into his hatred for women. I mean, so he was a male that was scorned by a female, but it started with his mom. It started
Hmm.
there. It started when he was 14 and found out that no one even knew who his dad was. And he was he denied that, and played it off to the psychologist as, oh, this is normal, this is no big deal. When in fact, of course it's a big deal.
Right.
It would for any adult. If you found out that who you thought your dad wasn't your dad,
Of
just
course.
raised you, and
Of
who is your
course.
dad is unknown.
Well, think about this aspect also. The other day we were talking about psychopaths and sociopaths, and based on what I've heard so far, he exhibited two. I mean, back and forth. He was able to be the chameleon when he needed to be the psychopath with no conscience. He would put himself out there and go after his prey like a hunter. And when he needed a little bit of conscience or some kind of empathy, then he would be the boyfriend, the the girlfriend's kid's guide or protector. You get what I'm saying? Am
Yeah.
I on point there, or is that kind of way off?
No, I think you're absolutely on point there. And and so much so, Marty, that the girl, I think it's Elizabeth is her name, his fiance, she was an ordinary girl, a single parent. She had a little girl, and what's interesting now looking back on it is that little girl didn't have a daddy, or wasn't present, the dad was wherever the dad was, but, and then Ted was able to live that double life, because there was a part of him that wanted that normacy. I mean, he was even going to church in Salt Lake City, and was active in the church, not just going, but was very active in the church, and and was with that young lady and her daughter, and it just kind of always thinking back in the back of my head, I have a feeling the only reason why he took to that little girl, and was very kind to that little girl, was because, well, she didn't have a dad, much like he didn't have, his dad was unknown to him,
Right.
so that,
And,
but that's
and
just
you know what's
the
sad? You know what's
psychology
sad in
brain of
all
mine.
these what's sad in all these serial killers that I've researched is a lot of them do have that normality. They have that chameleon effect because I've heard time and time again, they blend in. They blend in. You never really notice that they're anything different. So when we're looking at Brian Koberger, right?
Hmm.
I mean, just based on what we're talking about right now, I mean, he stood out. He stood out
Hmm.
on his academics. He wasn't just a normal student. He wasn't out there partying and all that, as far as we know. But
Hmm.
he was a teacher's assistant. He was very into his health. He was different in a lot of ways, but in a positive difference, it sounded like, not a negative difference. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah,
And
for sure.
then I'm saying, also, if who waits until they're 28 to commit their first murder? If you're honestly a serial killer, who waits till they're 28 to commit their first murder? We didn't hear about him being, like you said, treating animals bad. We didn't hear him, beating up on the little girls or being. We heard a little bit about him being a bully, but I don't believe that. I mean, it's just probably boys being boys type stuff. But
Yeah. Hmm.
this is the
But
kind
but
of
both
stuff.
but both are but both is very interesting, right? Because when we look at his, he did have good academics, where Ted Bundy had, all right academics,
Right.
but one thing that Ted Bundy that we know now, right? That we're yet to uncover all of this guy's past, but one thing that we know about Ted Bundy is going to be when they talk about that's what he used as his defense. So he would tell you all about his upbringing, which is upbringing. Hey, his mom was married to a man, blah blah blah, and all, and nothing in his upbringing really brought any really red flags, and that's kind of what Ted Bundy hid behind. Look, how could I have done this? Everybody
I'm
will tell you,
normal. Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't do
normal.
this, and they even had people at his trials testify like, hey, there's no way that he could have done this. There's many people that said there's no way that I knew that kid. I knew him. He couldn't have. And it's kind of like they hide behind, that, and it isn't until afterwards that, that people that we start to find out these little nuggets all along the way, and then when we connect them is when we see the big picture, so
Exactly. Well,
with
let's
Ted
finish
Bundy it's
the rest of
easier.
let's finish the rest of the video, and then we can discuss a little more. Okay. Here we go.
About a mile
Yeah,
or
let's
so
do it.
away. So pretty interesting, pretty sad, but yeah, 40 some odd years ago, that took place here on this beach, and me and Joel were talking about it. Like, not many people probably know that happened right here. Pretty crazy. So right in front of me is, of course, the beach, and on this beach, like I said, 23-year-old Janice Ott was sitting, and she was just hanging out, like I said, by herself on the beach, hanging out on a blanket, and of course fell into Ted Bundy's kind of ruse. But what also kind of helped sell that ruse was the fact that he also had his arm in a sling. And that kind of was one of his main ways or main ruses he would do, was he would put his arm in a sling or maybe his foot in a cast, to kind of, draw some sympathy from, whoever he was trying to abduct. And so that 23-year-old Janice Ott was sitting basically right around here on the beach on a blanket. And imagine this was 40 some odd years ago, bright, sunny, warm day. She had no clue that would be the last day she would be alive. All right, so we're of course walking back to the parking lot where we parked, and wanted to show you something pretty interesting. So on the day, July 14th, 1974, where Ted Bundy committed the 2 abductions and of course murders, someone photographed Ted Bundy and his VW Beetle in the parking lot on the day that the abductions and murders took place, which is amazing. Like, what are the chances that that took place? Me and Joel were looking it up, and we don't know exactly why someone decided to take a picture of him and his vehicle.
I couldn't live there. Too much fog, too much rain, sinus infections. That's what it just yells to me.
So many of you probably have questions regarding how did no one see the two abductions happening and how no one heard any screaming or anything like that. And the reason why no one really heard anything is because when Ted Bundy went and talked to Janice and to Denise, again, he rused them into helping him kind of move his sailboat. And his sailboat would have been parked, way around the corner. So they would have gotten into his vehicle, which would have been parked right there near the front. They would have gotten in the vehicle without any problem. And of course, it would have ended from there.
I think we should go over here and then walk back towards the camera.
Okay. Right now we're standing on kind of the service road where Ted Bundy dumped Janice Ott and Denise Naslund. And 2 months later, after he abducted and killed them, their skeletal remains were found here somewhere on this kind of service road. They also found one more victim, George Ann Hawkins. She was one of the ones that was abducted from the University of Washington campus. They found her remains right here next to the other two women's skeletal remains as well. So he obviously favored this area as kind of one of his main dumping sites. There's like a little creek down there. So again, our best interpretation of everything we read is that this service road is where the bodies were found. On August 31st, 1961, Anne Marie Burr was 8 years old, and she was abducted and killed. And people think that Ted Bundy was the one who committed the abduction and her murder. There is some speculation that he didn't do it. Walking to where little 8-year-old Anne used to live. And her house is located at 3009 14th Street here in Tacoma. And again, Anne's house is only a couple blocks away from the University of Puget Sound, where Ted Bundy used to attend. And again, it's only about 6 or 7 blocks away from Ted Bundy's second home, where he lived up until he graduated high school. So very, very close proximity to everything. At the time of Anne Burr's abduction, Ted Bundy was only 14 years old at the time. So if Ted Bundy did commit the murder, then this, of course, would have been his first murder, and he was 14 years old.
I hope you enjoyed Infamous Crime Location video on Ted Bundy. That was very interesting. I really enjoyed it. What y'all think? What y'all think, chat? Here's some other similarity to the Idaho 4 case. Ted Bundy was between 5'8" and 5'10". And in one of the cases, I believe in Florida, where the um, two individuals were at Florida State University. There was no DNA or fingerprints, hair, fiber, nothing. Um, and in that killing, a person saw him running down the stairs. It is also noted that Ted Bundy was a terrible driver, and I I thought that was some interesting stuff. How similar his and Brian's stuff is. You know, what do y'all think, chat? You think it's coincidental, or do you think that it's copycat? Do you think it's somebody emulated Mr. Bundy? Um, Carla, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think that with whenever we're talking about ultimately it's personality disorders, right? Whether we're looking at it from the psychopathic kind of viewpoint, narcissistic point of view, and all that. There's always some types of behaviors and things that are always going to seem, familiar across the board, and it's because of those, because of the foundation of the disorders. So they tend to, act in the same way or do the same things, or there's always commonalities between the people, decades and decades apart. But that's kind of it's just kind of my take on it, just from you know uh the studies that I've done and some of the things that that have come up with, like in my psychology courses that I took, or and even in criminals, when we're starting to look at just the crimes and how they're committed, and how there tends to be commonalities throughout. So it doesn't surprise me, let's put it that way. Of course some things are going to be just flukes, that they're the same, you know about the same height or things like that. I mean, because it would be uh if you had somebody who was extremely short, you know, uh, they may not be able to, take over their victim as much as a tall person. So there's those given things, right? But you know, so it's just fascinating to me how sometimes there's commonalities across decades, in between people that we discuss. So interesting.
Exactly. And one thing that's interesting to me is there hasn't been any copycats recently that I've heard of the Idaho 4. I mean, the nearest thing was the Oregon thing, but that's the closest that I've heard. The next portion, this will be the last portion, is I want to show some videos. It's from police activity on YouTube. And I want to point out in these videos, try to look at the other perspective of the police officer, okay? Because a lot of times we only see the victim's point. So I want you to look at life through the police lens, okay? Because I want to show you some videos, and I want you, after each video, they're not very long, but I want to discuss them. And I want to do this because I want to continue to educate on the criminal element of law enforcement, criminal justice, that stuff. Yeah, I remember seeing that, and I did some screenshots on that. So I will present that in another Idaho 4 case, and I have a tremendous one set up for you guys. So I don't know when I'm going to do that. Probably next week. Carla, if you're available, you're more than welcome to join me. Okay. So,
Yeah, that's good. Hey Marty,
yep,
before you
yeah,
before you before you go, before you show that, I just didn't want to ignore the person in the chat. I did see the compliment I got. I believe that was somebody's, if I correctly, somebody's daughter or probably granddaughter's name is also
Yes,
Kay.
yes.
So thank you for that. That Kay is actually is actually a nickname, but thank you. I did see that comment through, so I just wanted to acknowledge the person in the chat that.
Yeah, right here. I love your name. That's my daughter's middle name. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you,
Yes,
thank you.
yes. Thank you for doing that, Carla. Thank you. Well, let's go ahead and watch this first one, okay?
Yeah.
So here we go. Police Academy Activity, I mean, is the creator. Hold on, y'all can't see it. Y'all cannot. Can y'all see it? Can y'all see this video?
No,
No?
no. I just see a blank on my end. I just see
Okay,
blank.
hold on
That's
a
all I see.
second. Hold on, let me see if he'll let me do it now. Okay, can y'all see it now? Okay, let's start it over.
4800 block of Miller Avenue. He then exits his vehicle and begins to approach an alleyway behind this location. A gun is visible on his side. The suspect approaches someone who is currently off camera, and after a brief interaction, Mr. Thompson pulls out the handgun and shoots at the victim, striking him one time in the shoulder. He then retreats back to his vehicle and leaves this location. The victim is then seen emerging from this location with an apparent wound to his arm. The victim of that shooting was treated at a local hospital for his injuries. The following day, now Sunday, May 19th, patrol units were advised that our system had a hit on the suspect vehicle and provided information on its current location. A forward police officer located the suspect vehicle and then activated his lights and siren in an attempt to get the suspect vehicle to pull over until other officers arrived.
I'll be traveling that vehicle, Burton, Edgewood. Step out, so we're going to be going south on Edgewood from Burton. Hey, let's see here. Hey!
Your incident has been updated.
Southbound on Edgewood. Southbound on Edgewood. I may be hit. Stand by. We'll be going westbound on Berry, south on Hatcher. South on Hatcher. South on Hatcher still. Stand by. We are coming up to South Edgewood from Wyman. Westbound on Eastland. Westbound Eastland. The subject is armed. Subject is armed. Shots were fired. I need units to get to me. My unit has been hit. Clear the air.
During this pursuit, the officer's vehicle sustained damage that prevented him from continuing the pursuit.
I am out of it. My unit has died. He is in lane number 1, southbound on Miller. Lane 1, southbound Miller.
Officers continued looking for the suspect vehicle, while other officers tended to the wounded officer on scene. That officer was then transported to a local hospital where he received medical treatment. Fortunately, the officer was not shot. He suffered injuries from broken glass that cut his arm during the exchange of gunfire with the suspect. It was not known at this time whether the suspect was struck by any of the officers returning gunfire. With information related to the suspect vehicle, we were able to track down and locate the suspect vehicle parked at a residence located in the 5500 block of Summit Ridge Trail in Arlington. A perimeter was established, and the suspect was observed running from the main house towards a shed in the backyard. SWAT arrived on scene and apprehended Mr. Thompson without further incident.
Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. Let me see your hands. All right, take your time. Take your time. Lay down on your stomach. Lay down on your stomach. Lay down on your stomach. Lay down. Lay down flat. I'm ready, bud. You ready? I'm ready.
It was at this time that officers learned that Mr. Thompson had suffered a gunshot wound to his lower back. Mr. Thompson was transported to a local hospital where he is currently being treated for his injuries.
Push that other hand there. His fingers are coming out. Right here. Got it. There you go. Yep.
Okay. What do y'all think, chat? What do you think, Kay? Carla, you still here?
It's one of the reasons why. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can
I
now.
was just saying is one of the reasons why I am a social worker. I mean, and I got my second master's because I'm gonna tell you, when I watch things like this, not that it triggers me in any way because it doesn't, but it does. Myself myself get very anxious because, and I know I could never be a police officer. Well, one, I have horrible dyslexia, so I wouldn't know if I was going east or west, south or north, let alone the street name, let alone I am injured, and and he just stayed, it's just so much is going on, and
Yeah.
I have so much respect for law enforcement because, until we see things like this, do we actually know everything that, a cop, let it be male or female, what a cop has to do, in situations like that, like I can't imagine, I wouldn't be able to function. I mean, I'm gonna be honest,
I mean,
like I said, I don't even think I could keep up, Marty, with the direction I was going. Am I going south, east, or west? I wouldn't even know,
yeah.
But oh man,
Right.
it's crazy. So I don't think
I
I
mean,
could give any insight into this other than my own anxiety that I have.
right. I mean, I was watching these earlier, and I decided to show a couple of them tonight. And by the third or fourth one, boy, I was with you. My anxiety, my adrenaline was flowing, everything. Chat, what do y'all think about that video? I'm about to show you another one, but that one was pretty dramatic. Could you have shot straight? Are you a good shot,
When I was
Carla?
in the military, I was. Yeah. When I was in the military, I was a sharpshooter when I was in the military. I mean, I can shoot. My
Okay.
younger self, my older self. I mean, if you were to take me out to a gun range today, I don't know how proficient I would be. But
Yeah.
back in the day, but I got good at that, right? That I wasn't. I didn't have a natural talent for that. And but I got good at it, and I was able to have a badge of sharpshooter. But I don't know, like I
Right.
said, I wouldn't even know which direction I was going, let alone pull out my weapon and try to. I couldn't do that. I mean,
Right. Well, let's look at another one. And this one's a little less dramatic, but it's still kind of dramatic.
This is Jeff. What's the address of your emergency?
There's some stalking going on. Yeah, guys outside. And they're trying to
What's the address, sir? Tell me exactly what happened.
No, I probably shouldn't call this bluff. Okay, so if you don't understand, I can't tell you.
He's talking about having a gun.
Out loud, or was that just
out loud.
right there?
Yeah.
He's sued. I contacted him 2 nights ago. Same thing. He called dispatch like 7 times. Couldn't talk. Saying he needs LE.
Sir, you want to just take me out, or
Hey, drop the weapons. Drop the weapons.
Christian, put everything down. I'm trying to them. They're fucking killing me too.
Okay, the weapons.
And the knife in his right hand.
Yep. Drop the weapons.
Put everything on the ground, Christian. Nope. You're gonna have to come get me too. No work.
You want another unit? Let's get a couple more here.
Yeah.
22, 27. We have 2 more units. Code 3, please.
Put the knife down,
Drop
Christian.
the knife.
No. Put the knife down. No. Put the knife down right now. No. Leave it.
22, 29.
My fucking knife's out of my heart. Knife down. No. Put the knife down right now, Christian.
Stop. 22, 27. Shots fired. Suspect down. Units code 3. Lieutenant Sergeant code 3. Medics code 3. Clear the air. Officer involved shooting.
Put the knife down right now, Christian.
Stop. 22, 27. Shots fired. Suspect down. Units code 3. Lieutenant Sergeant code 3. Medics code 3.
What's your take on that one? You think it was justified?
I heard the word knife. Did he have a knife? Did the suspect have a knife?
Yes, he did. And a hammer.
And a hammer. I think it was going to be, I don't know, but I mean, excessive use of force, depending on where he was shot. I don't know. That's so hard for me, right? Because I feel like, uh, if somebody's bringing a knife, um, or another object, and the cops have guns. I mean, it's just kind of not a fair fight, you know. But I don't know. I don't know how I would react to that because, that's hard for me.
Chat, y'all think it was justified? Put justified or not justified? Let me take a couple comments. University can't either, but it breeds in places. Well, I was saying no frat, no drugs, no money involved, and these things is crazy here others' perspective. Yes, it is. Justified or unjustified? I'm about to show a different type of video right here. This is different. And the same thing. You tell me justified or unjustified, because just because they're not police officers doesn't mean that they still don't deserve respect. And this looks like it was in a jail or something by ABC News. So let's see it. And he cleaned his clock, didn't he?
No, justified.
You think that one's justified?
Justified. Because, well,
Why was that one justified?
I just, from what I could see, angles that I saw, but I mean, because a thing that's probably looks more like maybe police station, sheriff's department, or something. And when
Yeah.
an offender is dressed out in orange or whatever, we don't know what crime was committed. We know they have been arrested for a crime. It could have been whatever,
Right.
but the fact that he was trying to escape, which he just caught charged trying to escape. But the fact that he's trying to escape, and that mindset, those guards, their number one priority is to keep the public safe. So imagine person would have gotten through those doors and out into the community.
Right.
We don't know what kind of threat they could have posed to the community. Like, just for instance, just to think about, like, Ted Bundy escaped twice, and then the second time that
Yeah.
he escaped, there was 6 more victims. So, like, for me, anytime it's gonna be like that, I'm gonna say justified.
Okay.
That is
Well,
my opinion, guys. And
let's watch this last one, and then we'll talk about it. There we go.
There's no reason to lie to us when we're just trying to help. The only thing I was trying to do is help. You guys could have been long down the road, probably 15, 20 minutes ago down the road, if you would have just said, here's my ID, and been done, right? Yes, it would have solved so much. But you guys have...
No, he's going back and forth.
It adds.
Moving forward.
It's not all cops are bad, right? I've been very... it's okay.
No, you've been nothing like...
And I had a herniated disc. I mean, I kind of just...
Let me go check it real quick, Brandon. All right. Hey, Brandon.
Hey, how you doing?
All right. I'm going to have you turn around for a minute. All right. Turn. No.
Hey, I'm
Brandon.
not going in cuffs.
Hold on. Brandon, we're not doing this.
Brandon,
Listen to me.
hey,
Brandon.
I'm not.
We're done.
I'm not going in cuffs.
Hey, Brendan.
We're
Stop,
done.
Stop.
No!
Brandon,
Stop.
Brandon,
What?
stop.
Stop.
If you don't stop, I'm adding
Because
charges
you're
to
gonna be
you.
charged with resistance.
You're gonna
on
get
top of it.
extra charges.
So stop. Stop.
All right, Brandon, we're done. We're done.
Get your hand. Stop. Stop resisting.
Brandon, Christine, stay out of the car.
Do it.
Christine, stay out of the
What are you doing? What are you
Christine, stay out of the car.
Protecting me. We had bear spray.
Christine, please step backwards.
Stop.
Please.
Please let
Stop.
me go, please.
Christine, please step back.
I'm begging
Yes.
you.
Stop.
Christine,
Stop.
listen to me.
Please, I'm
I need you to
begging
stop. Please back up for me.
I'm begging you.
Back up for me.
Please, I'm begging you.
Stop.
Don't do
Christine.
this. I can't. We're gonna die.
No, you're not.
We
Christine,
are gonna die.
I need
They're
you to back.
trying to kill us. They tried to kill us in there.
Ducoin X.
Please don't. Please.
Ducoin X83. Send additional.
Please don't.
You're gonna have to bear spray me. Stop. Stop.
Christine, get out of that car. Christine, deal with her. Christine, back up.
I was in the military. You're gonna have to shoot me.
I'm not fucking going.
Stop shooting. Hey.
Get him.
Ow. On the ground.
Guys, the danger.
Hey, go back.
Christine, get back.
Look up him. Look up.
Shoot me in the head.
Christine, get back.
Stop him.
Oh, he's got a gun. He's got a gun. Gun. Ducoin X83. Shots fired. Shots fired. Suspect. Officer shot. Officer shot.
Shots fired.
Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Go. Go back. Go back. Get back. Get back behind my car.
Good. Good. Where am I shot?
Okay. That's the last one I'm going to show on those tonight. But it's just a representation of true crime. It's a different aspect of it. I understand that some people are pro law enforcement, some people are anti law enforcement. What did y'all see in that one that kind of gave you mixed feelings, or do you believe that they did their job appropriately? Carla?
I mean, for me, I thought it was, I mean, but you know, I'm looking from a totally different lens, you know, because I feel like there was enough warning there. They gave, you know, they gave them of opportunity. He did resist them, you know, the entire time, and you know, and he had been, you know, and it was just two, you know, it's just two cops there, or two troopers, you know, and you know, I think the added element of, you know, the other female being there wasn't good, but you know, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, I mean, there would be a way I could prosecute either one of those. That's just my opinion, you know. Just because they just a lot of warnings there, a lot of warnings, a lot of opportunities for that suspect to comply.
And you know, another thing, and I know that my viewers probably think that I interject a lot of shock value, but you know, we're talking about criminal behaviors, we're talking about crime being committed, we're talking about a lot of unglorious things. I believe in showing the truthfulness of that side of it. I don't believe in, you know, just talking about it in a romanticized way. You know, this shows the real deal. You know, it's not all just riding along eating donuts all night, you know, as people perceive. But you know, it's also very sad because there's a lot of families involved in that scenario. There's 4 families involved in that scenario. You have a split second You see the gun. I mean, I don't know if I would have even seen the gun fast enough to fire. You get what I'm saying, Carla?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would
Oh,
have seen the
absolutely.
gun fast enough, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, when a person's resisting that much, I mean, those officers are on high alert, and we don't know, right, what that officer knew when he ran his driver's license. Obviously they knew that they, there, and it was
Mhm.
just a matter of time before it was found out. And I mean, we don't know, and it could have been something
I
extremely
mean, he tased
dangerous. And
him. They tased him
yeah,
in that one enough, that just,
yeah,
like, amplified him. That gave people are gonna be, "Why didn't they take non-lethal things?" Well, look, you just
they
saw the
did.
guy get tased. What are you gonna sit there and tase him all night while he takes your gun and kills you 2 and goes off? And that girl was
Yeah,
antagonizing it. She
exactly.
said, "They're they're gonna kill us. They tried to kill us tonight."
Hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that's why cameras are
And that's what
so
I'm saying. And they really important. My gosh, yeah, they're definitely important.
that's why
And one
cameras
thing
are
that
so
has me
important.
thinking, yeah,
Go
and
ahead.
what has me thinking, maybe the reason why when the officer tased him, maybe the reason, and this is total, I don't know, just kind of maybe asking in the chat, did they feel that maybe it amplified it, like you were saying, because maybe there was some substance use there? I mean, it was if I'm just thinking, if you are high as a kite, you know, you may be reacting to something like such a strong stimulant. You're going to react to it differently if you are under some substance abuse, or if there's some substance
Right.
in your system, because anybody else, you're going to go down. I mean, but just a thought.
Yeah. What do y'all think, chat? She asked if you're under the influence, do you think when he got tased that kinda woke him up and gave him even superpowers, to withstand? It's sad. I was gonna show this tonight, but I decided not to because it's sad. I watched one earlier where this guy had schizophrenia and he was off his meds. He called 911, said, "Come on over here, I'm gonna kill you." And then 911 officer's like, "Who are you gonna kill?" And he's like, "You." And you heard the whole 911 play out, right? Then the mom calls and she tells him, "Hey, I've been dealing with this for 13 years. He has a knife. So try to take him down as soon as you get here, not shoot him, but handcuffed him." Well, the police get there. She comes running out of the house, screaming, and he's after her, right? With the knife. He tells him, put the knife down, put the knife down. And he runs after the policeman just like that one did in that other video. He shoots him 5 times, right? He goes down. He gets back up and starts coming at him again. He shoots him 3 more times. He took 8 shots from a 9 mil before he succumbed to his injuries. But I mean, that just goes to show you that, mental disorders or anything of that nature, you're not in your right mind. You're just going to become superhuman. And that's sad when you're dealing with a situation like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. Real
Yeah,
sad, but it's so
Aquarius
true.
said, true, he kept saying, shoot me. But some people are just stupid. Like he'd rather die than go to jail. Superman syndrome. Well, how many times have you seen that? I mean, I've heard of that a lot. People run from the cops
Oh,
and all they have is a traffic warrant, a traffic ticket. And the cops have to
mhm.
chase them. They have to practically shoot them, all this stuff. They run from the police for no reason. And then they ask him, well, why did you run? Because I have a
Well, I mean, I'm
traffic.
telling you. Well, let me tell
What?
you, you and the audience. When I went to worked at MHMR, and there for a brief while, I worked at I'm not even going to say where, but I worked at a police station
We can't hear you right now.
somewhere in the United States. Anyways, in this police station, I worked at a police station. I'm not going to say which one, just at a police station somewhere in the
I
United
can't
States.
hear you.
And I did intake. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me? Oh no. I don't know. Let's see.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I do remember Rodney King.
Hello.
I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Huh. Okay, how about now? Can you guys hear me? No? Hello? Can you guys hear
Can
me
y'all
now?
hear me? Can y'all hear me?
Marty, I can hear
Okay.
you. Yeah, I can hear you.
I don't know.
Oh man, we must have, I don't know.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
You hear both of us? Where did she go? Can you hear me now?
Marty, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah, I can hear you now.
Oh, I'm so
I guess
sorry, guys. I
my
don't know. I don't know what
so
happened.
they heard what you said. I didn't hear a dang thing what you said.
Oh,
So
so I was
typical
saying,
typical man, right?
so I was telling them that I'm not going to say where, but I worked at a police station. And at this said police station, I worked intake and I was part of MHMR. So if you got arrested, you would come through these little stations, right? And one of the stations was the nurses station. And then we were right next to the nurses station. And we would come and we would assess you as far as did we feel, you had tendencies to complete suicide, and that's
Mhm.
kind of what we were kind of gauging. We just wanted to keep you safe. But we had people that would come in there and they would be under the influence. And I mean, and when I mean influence, I mean, it could be alcohol, a combination there and thereof, multiple combinations of people, just being on some substances. And it sometimes you would see, I've seen little people, and I mean, and I'm not talking about little as far as like height wise. I'm talking about like a 90-pound,
Yeah.
woman, and it would take, 4 officers to restrain her. And because I mean, man, the mind and the body are very powerful machines. I mean, because when
We can't hear you now. Can y'all hear me? Okay, y'all can hear me. I'll talk until she gets back. You know, that's very true as far as, the psychiatric area of different people is they get into a psychotic state of mind, they become superhuman. I mean, it's just tremendous to see and hear, it's just amazing to see how strong people are when they get into that mindset. And you know, I hope you guys have enjoyed what I presented tonight. I mean, I think this is probably a good place to cut it off. I have been on here for 2 hours and 20 minutes. Let me know if you've enjoyed this, if you kind of like the new approach that I'm going with this. I am trying to get away from the Idaho 4 every night like everybody else is really talking about it. Not that I don't enjoy it, but you can only talk about certain things so much. But I do have a lot of different a lot of different things coming up with the Idaho 4 case. I found um some more photos, and I was going through them today and setting up a storyline with them and thinking back, um, things of that nature. Yes, it does go so fast. I mean, that first hour, second hour, I mean, I could probably go 4 or 5 hours, but, I don't want to put y'all through that because that's a long stream. And Carla mentioned that they were having storms, so I don't know if she had her internet or maybe her power went off or something, but I will contact her and make sure she's okay. Um, she says she's all right, that she enjoyed being on here with you guys, and she will be on here again with me to co-host. Um, so thank you so much for being here, and thank you. Yeah, that's really kind of you. I'll let her know that. She is very knowledgeable on a lot of things as far as the criminal justice side of this, and that's why I enjoy having people up here that really know what they're talking about. Um, Not just individuals that are speculating. Okay, can you hear me? You need to unmute yourself. Okay, can you hear us? Can you hear me? She said I can't hear it. Okay, so yeah, I'm gonna continue to give some educational stuff, some examples. I know, like I said earlier, some of it's gory, some of it is, it's hard to watch, but in reality, whenever you listen to these cases and you hear about 4-year-old kids being stabbed 31 times, I want you to really think about what it looks like based on that video where that guy was stabbing that mannequin. Not that it looks identical, but it's not going to look pretty. It's not going to sound pretty. It's not going to, and true crime is really about more than just getting on here and talking about a case. You know, um, we give insight, we give knowledge, we give personal experiences, and hoping that the audience gains some kind of educational value from it, not just listening to two people talk like, we know everything, because we don't. So I hope that you tell people about the channel and hit the like button on your way out. Last night we had 43 people in here. I was shocked. I couldn't keep up with it. I couldn't keep up with the people in the chat, but I enjoyed it. Hopefully we'll get 43 people of our own subscribers that come in here every time that I'm live, and that they start to interact with you guys in the chat like you're interacting with each other on a daily basis whenever I go live. So like I said, hit the like on the way out. Let people know we're around. Let them know about the channel. And thank you so much for all that you comment, all your kind words, and for continuing to allow the channel to present some good stuff to you, because you're the true champions. Without you, I wouldn't be doing this at all. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and y'all take care, be vigilant, and be safe out there, okay? And I'll talk to you soon, okay? Maestro, cue the music. One more thing before I leave, guys. Hopefully I'm gonna be able to have some mods soon. So whenever we do have other guests in here, you guys can moderate the room. I didn't need to do that last night, but if any of y'all want to be a mod when that happens, just let me know and I'll give you the wrench. And once I learn how to do that, okay? So I guess I will see y'all around. Bye bye for now.